way back when I was in college. I read a story by Franz Kafka called The Metamorphosis. It was surreal, and I never forgot it. In this bizarre tale, a young salesman wakes up one morning and discovered that during the night he had been transformed into a giant, ugly bug. As the days wear on, his mom and his dad and his sister struggled to adjust to the fact that their son and their brother had become a giant, ugly bug. Over time, the young salesman loses a sense of his own humanity and fights to still feel love and companionship with this ever more estranged family. But there remained one thing that gave this young salesman peace. It was the beautiful music his sister played on her violin at night. Trapped in the body of a beetle. Trapped in the body of a beetle, he listens to the music and he wonders, could I really be an animal if music stirs me in this way? My friends, the gospel this Sabbath evening is about finding that spark of humanity in ourselves that can become so lost to us, especially in our struggle with selfishness. The gardener stood before a fig tree that was barren and bleak, and he trusted that beneath that which was so ugly and desolate on the outside was life and beauty and potential on the inside. This gospel speaks to the truth of us, that beneath all the ugly and desolate stuff on the outside of us now, there is still life and still beauty and still potential on the inside of us. At the beginning of Lent this year, we talked about temptation. And we said that temptation is less about being drawn towards something bad, and that it's more about being drawn away from who we really are at our core and our most true self. As there are consequences for our behaviors when we are loving and true, so when we follow these temptations, there are consequences for our lives as well. Though our body might not turn into something so grotesque looking as that giant, ugly bug, and as was also true of that barren fig tree, when we yield to our temptations, we become less alive. We become less beautiful for the world. Through our selfishness and the hardness of our hearts, we no longer bear fruit for others as we were meant to do. It is an important grace to be able to recognize and to name that we sometimes do not live up to the best of who we were meant to be. And it is terribly important that we be able to see the harm we cause other people and how we ourselves have become less alive by our selfishness, by our sin. But the gardener who stands for us as Christ, also sees below the surface to what lies most deeply within. Despite the mistakes that haunt us, despite the shame we might carry for the wrong we have done or the good we have failed to do, the beauty of who we are at our core as God made us, it remains. What God, the master gardener, continues to do is to call to that goodness in us and to plant in our midst opportunities to start over, to make amends, to get back to our core beauty, to try again. There are other voices that will call to us and will say to us, "You are no good." These voices tell us, "You are that sin. Who do you think you are that you should deserve love or a new beginning?" Sometimes those voices will be our own. We will be the ones saying those things to ourselves. Who do you think you are to deserve love? Who do you think you are to deserve a new beginning? But this call, like the pure, sweet note of a violin, calls to our soul. It calls to that part of us that's still alive and says, "Come forth. Come forth to the beauty of who you really are." In other words, you're better than that. You're better than that. The good news proclaimed to us tonight that there's always reason to hope for ourselves. That no matter how much you and I mess up our lives, we will not only be given another chance, but we will also be given all the love we need to make it. Can you trust the beautiful humanity that is at your core and let yourself begin again? It is a waste of time and energy to beat yourself up. It is a waste of your time and energy to go to a place of shame. Shame is so different from the sorrow that happens inside of me when I realize that I hurt people I love. What shame says is that I'm no good. I'm no good. At the very core of who I am, I'm no good. It is a waste of time to go to a place of beating myself up or of shame, ever. Instead, can you remember again who you most deeply are and give yourself permission to start anew? The story of that fig tree, it's an invitation to hope. To hope in the unlimited love and the boundless mercy of your God. For God is this ever-patient gardener who gives every fig tree all the time and the attention and care that it needs to flourish. No matter how ugly we become because of our choices, and we can become pretty darn ugly. No matter the shame we feel at how we have treated those we love, or how far our lives have come turned away from what we were meant to be, there will always, always, always be something still that resonates, that still stirs in me. Something beautiful, or someone who's living a beautiful life, will stir something in us so deep, deep, deep down inside that will tell us that it doesn't have to be this way, that there's another way I can live. We, you and I, like the giant, ugly bug of a human, we will still be able to discover the music the music within ourselves and respond again to the loving, compassionate human beings that we are, This Wednesday is our Catholic Student Center annual Confession Marathon. From 2 p.m. in the afternoon till midnight and until the last confession is heard, there will be 20 of the kindest, wisest priests who serve in the Archdiocese of St. Louis. And they will spend 40 hours here hearing confessions. Because they believe enough in the mercy of your God to want you to have a chance to experience a new beginning as well. And with you that day, if you choose to come, there will be some 130 others who will come throughout that day. For the truth is, you're not alone in this new beginning that only love can give. We've all done really ugly stuff with our lives. There are no exceptions to that here, not a one in this chapel tonight. But that doesn't disqualify anyone from being here right now. As the sign posted outside our chapel in Lent above those doors announces, all sinners welcome. And we mean it. All sinners are welcome here. And we can put that stuff that we have done to ourselves behind us by confessing it out loud to some other imperfect human being who represents the whole human community to us and God. It's a powerful way to clean things up and begin again. You know, Kafka got it right. Our selfishness twists the loveliness of us into something grotesque and ugly. And he also got it right. He also got it right that no matter how ugly and desolate it seems we have become, there's still the spark of humanity inside of each of us, waiting to stir. And Jesus made it clear when he says in this very gospel, God will never give up on you. God will never, ever give up on you. There is somebody, my friends, with a capital S. There is someone who believes that you can still bear fruit and who will work desperately in your life so that you can once again flourish. One of the most incredible qualities of a human being is that as we go through life, we can become more beautiful. As we do the work God calls us to, we will rediscover who we really are, who we truly are. The goodness placed in our altogether human hearts, that spark of our own humanity, and our utter loveliness.